So welcome everybody to the meeting of the Governance and Policy Committee for April 23rd. For those who can stand for the land acknowledgement, please do. We acknowledge that we are hosted on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and the Inuit peoples. Miigwech. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. We have an item of emergency business that needs to be introduced by the director. To be added to the agenda, we need 2/3 of the committee members present to support the addition of that emergency business, and it will be heard in private. Do we have a title for that? Hold on, I will. Okay, sorry, it's a private legal matter. So we'll do this by show of hands or saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Oh, I heard 4. Any opposed? That carries. Thank you very much. And now we need approval of the agenda. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Trustee Laskin.
Trustee Pay.
Trustee Pay, thank you. All in favor of approving the agenda as modified?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Our next order is declarations of possible conflict of interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest to declare? Hearing none. Our next item is delegations. We have one delegate this afternoon. Is he online? We have Sam Kaufman. Sam, I think you've been here to delegate before, so you know the drill. You have 5 minutes. Please begin your delegation, and then there will be an opportunity for trustees to ask questions when you're finished. Oh, please press *6 to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it time to start?
Yes, go ahead. Welcome.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the chance to speak today. I understand the agenda is busy and I'm not speaking to specific agenda items, so I do appreciate the chance. My goal today is just to introduce a letter you'll have received today from Clean Indoor Air Toronto, which is an organization of Toronto residents advocating for clean indoor air. And the letter was signed by over 300 people. The letter asks the board to establish a clean indoor air policy and suggests some ingredients for that policy. I'd like to put the letter into the context of ongoing board business. First, an indoor air policy is a missing but necessary part of the board's climate action plan, which was presented recently. In particular, a resilient school building is a building that's not only energy efficient, but one that can provide adequate ventilation and filtration levels to keep its occupants safe and healthy. Too often, climate plans focus on energy savings alone to the detriment of indoor air quality. An indoor air policy that sets room-specific ventilation targets and pollutant limits, establishes minimum filtration efficiencies like MERV 13, and insists on room-specific monitoring will ensure that TDSB schools are prepared for climate-related risks like air pollution and future pandemics, and can address problems as they arise. In effect, you really need to avoid unintended consequences of a focus on energy alone. We've also heard from other school boards of problems with building automation systems that are centrally controlled without letting local custodial staff identify and fix problems. And an air quality policy could really help ensure that that doesn't happen here. Second, we all know that the TDSB is facing serious budgetary pressures this year. One contributor to these pressures is elevated staff absence rates, which are driven by sick leave. There's ample evidence that improved indoor air quality can reduce sickness rates, both by preventing the spread of disease and by reducing pollutants that leave us all ill or susceptible to illness. Improved air quality can also improve teachers' working conditions and stress levels. which is another reason for the use of sick leave. And they do this by reducing student illness and the need for catch-up work, and also by directly improving everyone's mood, focus, and improving learning and reducing behavior problems. Finally, an indoor air policy can help ensure compliance with Ministry of Education ventilation directives. This year's ventilation letter, for the first time, required HEPA units in all spaces without MERV 13 filtered mechanical ventilation. As indicated by the TDSB's own ventilation reports and by facility staff, the TDSB has generally not installed MERV 13 rated filters in its schools. So while the HEPA units in all classrooms may have exceeded ministry requirements in the past, given the filter situation, they're now just a bare minimum. Presumably, the ministry intends these units to be used to make a material improvement, that is, to be sized appropriately for the space and to be run on speeds at which they are effective, but not so noisy they interfere with learning. Unfortunately, in practice, TDSB's HEPA units are too noisy on high speeds, not very effective on low speeds, and for the most part, they're actually unused. An air quality policy resolving this situation by requiring MERV 13 filters and quiet, effective air filters in rooms that are actually used would actually meet or exceed these ministry directives. So, you know, with respect to the business of the Climate Action Plan, budget issues, and also basic requirements for the ministry, you know, I submit that an indoor air quality policy is really needed. They've been adopted by some other Ontario school boards, at least one. School boards in other places like the U.S., in Europe, have adopted policies. There are lots of examples around the world. So I hope you take our letter into consideration in the coming weeks, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have for me today.
Thank you very much. Now is the opportunity for trustees to ask questions. I will just ask Sam if you can forward your proposal to all trustees or to the delegates' email to make sure that we have a written copy.
Yeah, the letter was sent today.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions from trustees in the room? And any questions from trustees online? So I don't see, oh, sorry, was that somebody? Oh, Trustee Williams?
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you, Mr. Kaufman, for your delegation. I'm not sure if I heard anything in your delegation. We'll be receiving your submission, your written submission. I'm just wondering if there's any contemplation in your recommendations with regard to monitoring CO2 levels?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So the idea is really monitoring has to be done in every occupied space because it's a way to identify problems that may be affecting one space and not others. So every room has separate airflow. There's dampers all over a building. You know, there's different conditions from room to room whenever people go into schools and measure. And it's the room-specific conditions that really matter. So CO2 is one thing you would monitor, which would help you assess overall ventilation rates, whether they were good enough for the occupancy of the room, because people are the source of CO2. So we're really measuring how much fresh air we're bringing into a room when we measure CO2. But other things like particulate matter are important. Other pollutants, VOCs, they're usually called. All of these are ways to measure the air quality of the space, both the ventilation and the clearance of pollution. So centralized monitoring, which is often installed in building automation systems, is not really getting at the issues that may be affecting any particular space.
Thank you for that. And to you, Madam Chair, my final question, is there any kind of data included in what you've submitted? You know, impact on staff and student, on learning or anything of that nature? Any data?
Yes, we have cited there's about, I don't know, 20 footnotes with studies, various studies that we've cited. And if there are particular issues that you're more interested in gaining data on, we'd be happy to source some of that for you.
Okay, wonderful. Through you, Madam Chair, those are my questions. And thank you again for your delegation, Mr. Kaufman.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Mr. Kaufman? Seeing none, thank you for coming out this afternoon, and thank you for forwarding your proposal. I look forward to reading it and discussing with trustees.
Great. Thanks for your time.
To trustees online who have joined after the roll call, can you please identify yourselves?
Trustee Patel here, Madam Chair.
Trustee Earhart is present virtually.
Trustee Nunziata? Okay, I'll go. Okay, it is 4:45. Sorry, I forgot to mention that our item in private emergency business was also timed for 4:45. So we will move to that now before the other agenda items. Could we please have the room moved into private? Sorry, I also need a motion to move in private. Trustee Laskin, someone online?
Trustee Pay.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.